I'm Máirtín Ó Muilleoir. I pour the coffee at the West Belfast Small Business Roundtables, and I'm joined this morning by Gail Cook, who actually attends some of these roundtables as well. And she's the Director of Marketing for eFoiler Vessels, which we know as Artemis or Artemis Technologies, which is the green maritime vessel company. In West Belfast, we just call those boats, which is based down at the Titanic Quarter. For my money, Artemis is the most exciting company in Belfast today. It has the greatest potential, and by bringing back shipbuilding, boat building jobs on the former shipyard site in the Titanic Quarter, has the potential to transform Belfast. So anyone who's seen these Artemis ferries or police boats or tugboats in operation can't help but be really impressed. And I've seen the video, but I've talked to people as well who've seen the Artemis boat in New York, and then in the FT at the weekend, in the FT travel section, had a marvellous glowing report about an Artemis ferry as well. So Gail's going to join the next gathering of the West Belfast Small Business Roundtable. That takes place on the 24th of June in Culterland. We only sell 14 tickets because we believe really that makes a roundtable. Everybody has a chance to say a few words at it. Hopefully you're going to be one of those 14. If not, you have an opportunity to hear more about Gail's career here. So, Gail, thank you. And we're going to get right into it. So, you're from that great cultural metropolis of Ballyclare, and at one stage, if we go through some of your backstory, you wanted to go to Greenland long before it was in the news. So we found with our guests that so many of them have a career arc which is really different and interesting and almost provocative. So why don't you tell us a bit about your own journey and education and how you almost went from Ballyclare to Greenland?
Thanks, Máirtín. It's a pleasure to be on here. So I went to Ballyclare High School. That's where I did my schooling years. And I was a bit of an adventurer when I was younger. And I was really into the outdoors and walking because there's some amazing countryside here. We're so close to the water and the mountains. And I saw a scheme called the British Schools Exploring Society Expedition to Greenland. And I thought, that sounds really exciting. And to go and do that, you had to do subjects in geography, geology, and art. 3 subjects that I chose for my GCSEs back in the day. And I decided that was a good reason to choose them for A-level so that I could go on this expedition to Greenland to study climate change out there before it was really popular. It was a thing to go out and look and see what was happening to the Greenland ice cap at that time. I was very fortunate. I got selected to go on that trip. But regrettably, I declined it. I turned it down. I was the only female from Northern Ireland, the first ever female from Northern Ireland to actually get on that trip. And it was because, I was putting my parents under financial pressure to go and participate in this. And it wasn't really done back in those days. And I bottled it really, and that has stuck with me as I've gone through my career. That sense of regret, that sense of not taking the challenge and fulfilling my full potential. And that was a real mind shift for me. So I then stayed on at school and I said, okay, well, I'm not going that expedition. What can I do? And I was really into sort of like business studies, but school didn't do business studies. And I was doing my Duke of Edinburgh Award, and I flicked through the book and I saw this thing called Young Enterprise. And so I said, hey, that's really cool. Hello, school. Could I do this as part of my Duke of Edinburgh? So I pestered the school and they brought Young Enterprise in, and a team of us set up a small business selling stationery and paper products that we sold. And that was my first foray into something called marketing. And I had to write some marketing plans with the team and some business plans. And out of that, I actually won an award, a BP Innovation Award for our marketing plan that we did. And I thought, oh, hang on a minute, this sounds quite cool. Let's go into this marketing world. And so I had then got to this point with my A-levels of like, oh, good grief, I've got geography, geology, and art here. I kind of want to go and do this thing, marketing. certain university, no names mentioned, wouldn't accept me with geography, geology and art. And I thought, I don't know what I want to do with my life. So I decided I would go and work as a children's nanny in New York for a year, to the horror of my parents. And so I decided let's go to New York and do that.
So there's quite a sort of entrepreneurial bent in that, you saw a lot of hurdles and you cleared them. What the really interesting thing for me is that when you were a nanny in New York, and I went to America as a student, I worked in a kitchen and spent most of my time after work in a bar. But you did something very unusual. It makes you an alumna of New York University, which actually, of all the people I know who went to US, you're the first one I know who had the drive and determination and grit to knuckle down and maybe try and get ahead in terms of education. So tell us what you did to start your post-school education.
Yeah, so I went on a J1 visa back in the day, which was a student visa. And so you got like $200 that you could use to study. And I think most of the other girls and guys as well who were au pair at the time used theirs for gym membership or things. And I saw at New York University night school, they had a certificate in marketing and advertising. And so I signed up to do that. And with the support of my mum, helped fund some of the courses as well. I spent the year going to night school and I came out with my certificate in marketing and advertising. And that really cemented for me that this was a career that I wanted to go into. Being in Manhattan, going, to 32nd Street, walking past the bottom of the Empire State Building into class, it was unbelievable for a young girl at 18 from Ballyclare in this whole world. And I got to meet some amazing people who were working in the field of marketing and PR. And I just thought, this is the career for me.
So you got a real taste for marketing, which I suppose really is brand promotion. It's selling your own ability and your own talents as well as who you're representing. And then you got a taste for the diversity and the diversity of the world and the excitement of New York. But you came back home.
I did, yeah. So I was on a 13-month visa, had a brilliant time. Had lots of opportunities to maybe stay on and doing that. But I came back to Belfast, and Belfast Institute of Further and Higher Education, it's now Belfast Met, was the only place in the UK that was doing the CIM diploma in marketing full time. And so I thought, you know what? I'll come back, I'll get my professional qualifications, meanwhile trying to apply for a green card and things like that to go back to New York, which I didn't get. But I came out for that. And while I was studying, I worked as a promo girl, as a lot of people do. And I was working for Cool FM and Downtown Radio. And, I worked really hard, but I was very fortunate that I got an opportunity to do work experience in there when the marketing manager at the time just left, and the timing was perfect. And why they were looking to fill somebody into that role full time. It was Alistair McDowell back in the day, and I'm very grateful to him. Give me 3 months of marketing experience, and I got to do really cool things like design. I think it was the Mountain Dew Gold Diggers final in Belfast City Centre. And this is back in the days, when you didn't have mobile phones or things like that. And I remember getting my first mobile phone for that specific promotion, and someone actually stole it on me because I said it times. So that's my memories of that. But it was fantastic. It was a great experience. And that was it. And my career took off from that. And I'm a great believer, of grasping those opportunities. And, and it was a friend. I got to work for Cool FM and Downtown Radio because a friend that I knew was working there. And they were stuck one night for promotional staff. And he rang me out of the blue and said, can you be here in half an hour to come and work? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I got in the car and I drove. And that was it. And that started the opportunity. So I'm a great believer in, don't say no to things, go for it, give it a go, and you never know where it ends up.
And that reflects, some of this is very emblematic of some of our other speakers. Emer Himfe, who's a HR expert, didn't pass her 11 plus, so she went a different route. Tina McKenzie, who is the head of staff line recruitment, one of her points was when she went to London, she took every job going. And you seem to me to epitomise some of that. You weren't afraid to work. but you also put in the hours, but you also went the route. Nowadays, we hear a lot of young people who are being told you don't need to go to university degree and then work. Some of them are going to the apprenticeships with Deloitte and other people.
Yeah.
But you were ahead of your time in that, and you didn't feel you were losing out, like applying yourself to, because the Belfast Met or Belfast Tech, it's a very work oriented. Real excuses, not the same space for lazing about as I did at university. You had no fear of that. You had no fear of
No, I didn't, because I love learning. So the fact that I didn't necessarily go the traditional university route is I've never stopped learning. It's probably a bit of an addiction of me. So for example, during COVID, I was working actually for Glendimplex at the time, and we were down to 4-day week. I didn't get furloughed, sadly. I know that's terrible. A lot of people did, and it was tough for them. But I had an extra day in the week, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do an MBA online and use that extra day to do that, because life is short. There's so many opportunities. So I've always availed of learning and development, and I think once there comes a point when you're into the workplace where, yes, those academic skills and that formal education get you so far, but now you need to develop your people skills. Now you need to develop those soft skills to get along, and for example, where we are, at Artemis, some of the things, our brand values here are, collaboration, innovation, entrepreneurship, but that working together, those soft skills, that's what makes businesses really tick and function. If you can't get along with people, if you can't work with people, if you're not prepared to put in the extra hours when things need it, you're not going to get very far in your career, because business isn't 9 to 5. That's the reality of it, and having a bit of flexibility and adaptability. And so for me, I'm always working on myself. I made mistakes really early in my career, and had had the opportunity to take over the promotional business when I was here in Belfast for a couple of years. And that was like baptism of fire, being, my own boss at a very young age, and all the things, and it was the days before, for me, like mentoring was like, it was almost like a failure, if you need a mentor, there's something wrong with you. That was how it's positioned. And now it's like mentors are the greatest thing, working together. And having, I then went on to work in England for 20 years. And I came back to Northern Ireland 4 years ago. And what's really struck me coming back here is the collaborative culture that we have, that the opportunities to support each other across, markets, across, the country, is phenomenal. We just didn't get that, in England at all.
So you're another returnee, which is fantastic. What we can agree on is Artemis landed on their feet when they got someone with your experience and background to come and work for them. Tell us about Artemis's revolutionary offering.
Yeah, absolutely. So Artemis Technologies are on a mission to decarbonize the maritime sector. We were founded in 2017 as a spin out of the America's Cup racing team, and incredibly fortunate. We have a really talented team of founders, led by Dr. Ian Percy, who's a double gold Olympic medal winner, whatever. So, I'm equally incredibly privileged to work for, this organization and what they're doing. But we're breaking new ground. We're doing something that, there's some elements of it are old technology, such as foiling technology, but we've merged it, with electric drivetrains, to create vessels that are zero emission in operation, that can go fast, in ports and harbors. We're creating ferries and water taxis, pilot boats for operations. So, we have a really talented team here, who are really passionate about what they're doing. And it's a privilege to work for them. So my role here is, selling these products globally, supporting the team, going out and telling people, what we're making here in Belfast and how it can apply to their use cases. So we're talking to the likes of New York, and it was a full circle moment for me when we were doing the demos back in New York City, and I wrote a LinkedIn post about, how if you'd have told me that when I was 18, that I would be back here doing that, my mind was blown, and it was such a real privilege to be doing that. But here at Artemis, we're selling globally. We're selling, talking, to Seattle, San Francisco. We were out last year in Australia looking at opportunities there. And we're really trying to get the maritime industry to embrace this new technology. It's tough, making the technology is tough, making the products when you've never done it before. And I think that's been a really interesting learning curve for us as a business, because culturally, I think, some people embrace entrepreneurship, embrace uncertainty and doing that, but others find it really, really difficult. And we do get people coming to join the organization who are like, wow, this is really exciting and this is really cool, but maybe not realizing that uncertainty that comes into it as well. And that, okay, we're going to have to make this up as we go along. But we're coming out of that phase now, that R&D, that uncertainty phase, and we're into full serial production of our vessels. And that's now where we're getting into defining our processes, making products that are fit for purpose. But we can only do, we talked about collaboration internally, but also with our customers, listening to them, talking to them. And for me as a marketeer, if there was one message I could say to people, in any business whatsoever, is stay close to your customer, listen to them, talk to them, listen to them, hear what they're saying. And you see it so many times, it drives me mad, where you've got big businesses with customer services centers that you can never get through to and you can't talk to, and you're not a human. And that's so vitally important, because as a marketing director, the knowledge and the input that I get that shape what we do is so vitally important. And it's a privilege here that we're able to do that we're collaborative enough that people will bring you into meetings, and we're really passionate. I think it's part of the sailing ethos and the hospitality element that came with sailing, is that we love having people come into the business. We love our customers coming in. We love stakeholders coming in and showing them what we can do, because we're learning from them as well as, teaching them about what we do.
So I've had the privilege of visiting the Artemis operation down at Titanic Quarter. A lot of people in the city would know Titanic Belfast, have visited that, and maybe gone down to the distillery or gone for a walk. Not a lot of people know that, you're across two sites down there with global customers. But let's just finish, and I know you'll touch on this on the 24th of June in Unculterland when we have our breakfast. But what are the key elements or qualities or traits of a really good marketeer, and maybe something that you try to bring with you? So if there's one thing you would say to people, make sure you stay close to this quality, what would it be?
Yeah, it's that passion for the customer. It is that passion for the customer, because without, it's a bit of a cliche when people say that, but they help you define what your product is and what your offering is. Because if they're not going to buy it, you can create the best technology in the world, the best, whether it's a cake, whether it's fun, if people don't want to buy it, that for me is the thing. Listen to them, understand it, bring that insight back into the business and shape your strategy from it. And
well, just to finish, asking people to trust in absolutely new technology, and they've had these dirty diesel burning ferries and so on, but you're asking them to trust in new technology. You're, of course, David Tyler and Ian Percy or Sailor at the front of the business, but your job too is to really engender that trust. How do you make people trust that this new technology and the payback, and they say that over a period of time there'll be 90% savings with these vessels, but how the hell do you get people to really trust in something that they've never used before?
Yeah, a couple of things. Being on the vessels and seeing them and seeing our premises is vital. We're not some fly by the night company, that are going to disappear. Getting people on board, and that's why we've invested really heavily in our demo programs out in the US and places like that, so we can take the vessel to customers. It's why we bring people into Belfast to see things, seeing our manufacturing site, and doing what we say we're going to do as well, with people is really, really important, and building relationships. These are, high purchase items, and, our reputation is everything. So there's going out to the events, spending time with stakeholders. That stakeholder engagement is critically important to help them know us and trust us and build that trust. So it's a lot of groundwork, but we also work really closely with those individuals. We will sit down and we will analyze their routes for, how much savings they can make if they converted to our vessels. What are their routes? We have some analysts internally, Stephen, who does a fantastic job working with our customers to say, okay, this is what you're doing today. Maybe if you changed it slightly, you could put more routes on for your ferry operator, your operations, etc. So really working closely with those customers to show them how it can work for them is critical to that success.
So then to finish, how proud are you of the fact that you're back home? We consider Ballyclare very much a suburb of Belfast. How proud are you to be back home and be part of the not only transformation of the entire maritime sector, but to be part of the transformation of Belfast?
It is fantastic. I'm so proud. I mean, so proud, to be bringing, boat building back into Belfast in the heart, such a historic place, that's, I have family connections going back generations within this, but to see it, Belfast is a really special place. There's no city like it in the world. The people are fantastic. And so to be bringing high value jobs back and helping grow in the sector, I just could not be prouder, so I'm thrilled. And I often say, if I hadn't been working for Artemis, and doing what we're doing here, would I have stayed in Northern Ireland? It's a brilliant place, everything, but being able to leave a legacy, that is fantastic to be a part of.
Well, look, it's all about opportunity, and we're very proud of Artemis as well. And my hope is that and we're now based, our office is right on the Falls Road, right beside the Shankill. I hope when I visit the Shankill Road, I see young people who are doing manual work, obviously very advanced manufacturing, either in the Shankill and the Falls. I'd love to see them walking down to the shipyard to take on these. But look, Gail, thanks for taking the time to join us. We're looking forward to serving you your very healthy continental breakfast that we have replaced the Ulster Fry with on the 24th of June. And thank you for taking part in this Lagan Stream podcast.
Pleasure.